it's Laura, and it has been a while since I sat down and filmed a video. So, you know, how have you been? How have you been doing? I hope you're good. I have had a lot going on. I could say I have a lot of excuses why I haven't sat down and filmed in such a long time, but really I've just had a lot going on. And I'll probably talk about it more in like a vlog, an upcoming vlog. But yeah, but today I have a book haul for you. So these are all the books that I bought or received in the months of October and November. Of course, October was my birthday month. I went on my usual birthday book shopping trip. I didn't pick up a lot of books. I only picked up like 5 during that trip. So this may seem like a lot of books, but it could have been worse. So there's that. Let's just get right into it. I don't have these in any particular order. They just are what they are. And some of them I have already read and talked about, so you'll be familiar. Some of them I have not. So let's just get into it. The first book that I have here is The Death of Jane Lawrence, and this is by Caitlin Starling. I have already read this. I talked about it in my October wrap-up. This is a gothic horror thriller. It is actually inspired by and kind of a reimagining of Crimson Peak. So if that sounds good to you, definitely pick this up. I have heard a lot of negative things about this. Like I've seen a lot of people not loving this. I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. I definitely recommend, especially if you love Crimson Peak. It also has some like Rebecca vibes as well. And the ending is just wild. So I picked this up from Barnes & Noble. This is the book club edition, exclusive edition. It has like some extra bits in the back. Yeah, and I really liked it, and I really recommend. And I think this cover is stunning. I love the cover. The next book I have here is one that I picked up on my birthday book shopping trip, and that is Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. This is a very short little horror novella that was very interesting. Like, I've never really read anything quite like this. It is a Japanese inspired horror novel, or horror novella, I should say, following a group of, like a wedding party, who the bride has always wanted to, like it's been her dream to get married in a haunted house or a haunted mansion. She gets her wish and things go horribly. That's all I'm gonna say. The writing style is very unique. It may come off as like pretentious, and I can see why a lot of people wouldn't like this, but I actually enjoyed it and recommend. And that's probably one of the creepiest covers I have ever seen. The next book I have here is Lake's Edge by Lyndall Clipstone. This is the Owl Crate exclusive cover, which I think is really pretty, although I do want to pick up the original cover as well, because I think it so much more like represents what the book is about. So this is another gothic dark fantasy that follows a young girl who ends up going to this manor with this monstrous type young man who he's like the, what do you call it? Governor? That's not it. There's a different word, but he's basically like the overseer of the district. And there's a lot of rumors about him like murdering his entire family, and everyone thinks he's a monster, and she ends up getting forced into going to stay at his manor, and things kind of take off from there. It's romance heavy. It was like, this is one of my favorite books of the year. This is one of my favorite books of all time now. I loved it so much. I can't even explain to you how much. And it has like death in the maiden mythology as well. There's a dark god of death in here. It was perfect. The dynamic between the death god and the main character, just so good. I loved this book, highly recommend. But yes, I picked this up. It is really pretty. I like that it doesn't have a dust jacket and it's just like printed on the hardcover. The end papers are really pretty, and of course it is signed by the author. But like I said, I do want to get the original cover. And then I have a couple of gifts here. So the first one was from my friend Ashley. She sent me this copy of The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. You guys know The Night Circus is my favorite book of all time. And I didn't have this copy yet, and I love it. This is the UK paperback, I believe. And I think it's just so beautiful. I love it so much. So I have that now. Thank you once again to Ashley for sending it to me. Very happy to have this. And then I was gifted The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zoraida Cordova from Tasha from Mood Reads with Tasha. I'll leave her channel link down below. She was so kind as to send me this for my birthday, and I thank you so much, Tasha. I ended up loving this. I think I already talked about this in my October wrap up, because I believe that's when I read it. I loved it. It is beautiful. It is magical realism. The matriarch of the family, Orchidea, contacts all her living relatives and tells them to come collect their inheritance because she is dying. And when they get there, she is like transformed into a tree. And then we kind of follow the rest of the family as they try to like put together the pieces of her life and how she ended up at that point. And it's some of the most beautiful writing that I've ever experienced. It's such an amazing, heartfelt story. Highly recommend. So glad to have it. Love this cover. The next book I have here is one that I'm currently reading, and this actually just came out not too long ago. This is Psytonic by Brandon Sanderson. This is the third book in the Skyward series, which is his young adult sci-fi series that I've been reading and loving. I'm actually buddy reading this with Ingrid from Ingrid Inspired. I'll leave her channel link down below as well. And we buddy read the second one as well. Really enjoyed it. Interesting things are happening. I'm this far in, about halfway through. It's very interesting so far. I don't know where it's leading or what's gonna happen, but I'm excited to go along for the ride. But yeah, I had this pre-ordered so that I could read it as soon as it came out, and that is what I'm doing. Then I have, did I haul these already? Like, I feel like I didn't, but at the same time I feel like I did. Or maybe I just talked about them in a video, but I do have the second and third books in the, what is it called? The Queens of Renthia series. So the first one was The Queen of Blood. This is the second book, The Reluctant Queen, and then the third book is The Queen of Sorrow. I really enjoyed that first book. I read it back in September, so I'm really excited to get to both of these. These were both, that's what it was. These were on my end of the year TBR. So I mentioned them in that video, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get to them by the end of the year, to be honest. I have so many books that I need to read, but I have them now, so I can continue on theoretically whenever I want to. Okay, next I picked up another one that I just got, and that is the Boneshard Emperor by Andrea Stewart. This is the sequel to the Boneshard Daughter, which I read back in March and absolutely fell in love with. It takes place on this empire of islands, and they are also like migratory islands. They float around, which is so cool. I love the world building in here, and we're following a couple of different characters. A man named Jovis, who's just looking for his wife and ends up becoming this unlikely hero. He has this animal companion named Mephi, who is the most adorable thing in the world. And we're also following a few other people. It's a great story. I loved it. I talked about it a lot this year, but this is the sequel that I've been dying for and waiting for since I read that book. And now it's here in my hands. And will I read it by the end of the year? Probably not, but I want to so bad. Ooh, that's pretty. Pretty blue. The next book I have here is Vesper Teen by Margaret Rogerson. This is another one that I pre-ordered. This is the newest from Margaret Rogerson. So she wrote An Enchantment of Ravens as well as A Sorcery of Thorns. Both were young adult standalones. I loved them both, especially A Sorcery of Thorns. I loved that so much. One of my favorite books. And so I was very excited when this got announced, and finally it has been released. This, I think it came out like early October. This is about our main character, who is a Grey Sister. And a Grey Sister is a nun who cleanses the bodies of the deceased so that their souls can pass on, otherwise they will rise as spirits with a ravenous hunger for the living. So it sounds like it's gonna be a lot darker than her other books. It's also the first in a new series by her, and while previously she's only done standalones, so very interested in that as well. I'm very excited to read this. I wanted to pick it up as soon as it came out, but I never did, and now I don't know if I'll get to it before the end of the year, but I'd like to get to it soon. So one thing I definitely want to apologize for is the fact that I mentioned to you guys that I was gonna do a Wheel of Time vlog. I was gonna read the first two books in the Wheel of Time series. I was gonna read the show. I was gonna give you all of my spoilery thoughts and feelings and reactions in the moment, and I never did that. And I feel so bad because I know a lot of you were excited about that. I was excited about that, but it just didn't work out. I did, however, read the first book, really enjoyed it. So I picked up the second book, which is The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan. I did not expect to fall in love with the series as much as I did. I keep thinking about it, and especially now with the show, like I'm really enjoying the show. I love it. So I want to continue on in the series, so I picked up the second book, and I was trying to find used copies because previously to reading this series, I feel like I always see them everywhere, but now that like everyone is reading them, they're harder to find. But I did get, so I picked this one up new. Yeah, I picked up The Great Hunt new, and then I found books 9 and 10 used for like a really good price, and they're in pretty decent condition. So the 9th book is Winter's Heart, and the 10th book is Crossroads of Twilight. Picked up these. I have a lot of books in between that I need to get to complete the series, but I have these 3, so that's a start. Okay, another book that I've already read and talked about in a wrap-up is The Changeling by Victor LaValle. This is a dark, adult, fairy tale-like fantasy horror. It was really good. I talked about, oh, I was wondering where that bookmark was. So yeah, I talked about it in my October wrap-up. I really loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This is the 3rd book that I've read by Victor LaValle, and all of them have been 5 stars. So I've definitely found a new favorite author. I cannot wait to read more by him. I was so mad when this book came because this was listed as like very good or like new condition, and it's an ex-library book. You can see the library stamp on here. It was covered in plastic when I got it, and when I tried to carefully take off the plastic, it ripped the book. I was very upset about that. But anyway, I have the book. I'm glad that I got it in hardcover either way. The next few books I have here I picked up at my local used bookstore. I found these all at a really good price. I was really excited because some of these I have been wanting to pick up for quite some time. So first we have a beautiful, stunning edition of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, one of my favorite stories of all time. Whenever I see a new copy that I don't have, I usually pick one up, and this is just beautiful. Look at the cover, look at the spine. Like, the spine is absolutely gorgeous. I love that. That's the back, and it has beautiful gilded gold edges, and this is a Franklin Library edition. I've seen quite a few of the Franklin Library editions at my local used bookstore, so I'm very interested in picking up more actually, but this was published in 1980, and it's one that I have not seen before. I've never seen this particular edition, so when I saw it, I had to pick it up. Of course, illustrated, and it's stunning. It's gonna look so nice on my shelf, and I'm so happy to have it. The next book I picked up there was Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valente. I read a book by Catherine M. Valente before, on the fence about her as an author. The other book I read by her was another novella called Six Gun Snow White, I think it was, which was like this Old West style retelling of Snow White, and I really enjoyed it up until the ending, and then it lost me, and I hated that ending. But I'm curious about her as an author, so I wanted to pick this up. This is her newest release, I believe, and this is a horror / thriller, maybe more so a horror. A terrifying new thriller from bestseller Catherine M. Valente for fans of Gone Girl and Spinning Silver. Those are 2 of my favorite things. So I mean, it sounds like it would be perfect. It sounds really interesting, and the synopsis keeps things pretty vague, which I appreciated. So I'm excited to give it a read and see how it goes. Hopefully I'll like it, but you never know. And then this, which I was so excited to find at the used bookstore, even though it's not in like the best condition, but it's not bad. And that is The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams. So of course I heard Elliot from Elliot Brooks raving about this book and the series, the whole trilogy, and because of that, I've definitely wanted to read it. I've since seen other people pick it up and read it and absolutely love it, so I knew that I had to do the same once I saw it. And I was so excited to see it. It's kind of hard to find in the US, but I found a copy right there in my used bookstore for a really good price, so I picked it up. I couldn't tell you what this is about, even though I've heard so many people talk about it. I really don't know, and I don't really want to know too much before I go into it. It's fantasy, it's adult fantasy. Very excited to have that now. And then I also found Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell, and this is a sci-fi romance, or like a romance sci-fi, and I've heard really, really good things about it, and I've definitely been interested in picking it up. Ooh, look how pretty that blue is. That's beautiful. So yeah, I've heard really great things about it, and I've been really loving sci-fi this year, and I want to read more of it. And I know that this is very romance heavy, but I think that I could really love that. And then another one that I've been wanting to read for years now. I can't believe I never picked up a copy, but there it was at the used bookstore. I feel like every time I go into the used bookstore, I look for this specific book and never find it, and finally they had it. I don't know why I haven't picked it up outside of that, but I never thought about it. And that is Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky by Kwame Mbalia. This is a part of the Rick Riordan Presents line. It's a middle grade, and this draws from mythology and folklore from Africa, as well as African American myths and folklore, which is not something you see often. Like, we're getting a lot of African inspired fantasy lately, but not African American inspired. I'm so excited to read this. I've heard amazing things about it. I don't know why I haven't picked it up before now, but now I have it. Now I have it, so I'm probably gonna read this pretty soon next year. And then the last book that I picked up from my used bookstore was This Poison Heart by Kaylin Bayron, and this is actually the Owl Crate exclusive edition. I was so excited to see it there, and it was at a really good price. Like, it was brand new. I love the cover of this. It's absolutely gorgeous. I have not read Kaylin Bayron's other book, which was Cinderella is Dead. I'm planning on reading it next month at some point, but this one sounds more up my alley than Cinderella is Dead. This is about a girl who has plant magic. Like, she can grow plants from tiny seeds to rich blooms, and that is one of my favorite things. Plant magic, nature magic. That is, I love that so much. I eat that up. So I'm so excited to read this. Plus it takes place in upstate New York, which I'm super excited about. And I can't wait to read this. But I was saying the cover is absolutely stunning. Love it. But underneath, ooh, look at underneath the dust jacket. That's really pretty too. It has this rose foiling, and I think this is signed. It should be, right? Owl Crate books are usually signed. Yep. It's signed right there, and then underneath the dust jacket has this amazing artwork on it. It's stunning. It's stunning. Like, I want to frame this and hang it on my wall. It's that beautiful. Oh my god, all the plants and the little like apothecary jars and stuff. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. I cannot wait to read this. Like I said, I'm going to read Cinderella is Dead first, but I don't know, I've heard so many terrible reviews about it that I'm worried that I won't like it, but that's not going to stop me from reading this, because I think I'll really love it. Okay, some other things that I've picked up. I've talked about this one already as well. This is White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. I read this in October, gave it 5 stars, absolutely love it. This is marketed as The Haunting of Hill House meets Get Out. I definitely see those comparisons, even though like everything is compared to Get Out now, which is getting a little bit annoying, but it's still an apt comparison. I loved this book so much. This was Tiffany D. Jackson's first horror, all-out horror, because usually she writes like really dark thrillers. We are down to the last stack. The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. You guys know I read The Poppy War in September. Absolutely loved it so much. So I had to pick up the second book right away, and I'm surprised that I haven't read it yet, but that's fine. I will read it soon. This was another one that was on my end of the year TBR, and another one I'm not sure I'm gonna get to, but hopefully, I'm holding out hope. The next book I have in here is Foundation by Isaac Asimov. So I have been watching the Foundation TV show, me and my husband, and I've been really enjoying it. I wasn't planning on picking this up anytime soon, but I saw it at Barnes & Noble in this like beautiful new covers that they did and decided to go ahead and pick it up and give it a read. I think that I might actually enjoy this. I've actually been, like, I'm loving the adaptations we're getting of classic sci-fi and fantasy, and I've really been enjoying them in movies and TV shows and stuff. So reading them I think is going to be an interesting experience. I remember reading Dune, and even though it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, I still think about it to this day. I did really enjoy that book, so I'm hoping that I will enjoy some more classic sci-fi in Foundation. We shall see. The next book I have here is A Psalm of Storms and Silence by Roseanne Brown. This is the second and concluding book to the first one, which was A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. There it is. A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, which I absolutely loved. I particularly love the characters in here and the world in general, but Malik is my baby and needs to be protected at all costs. He's just such a sweet, soft boy. This is another like African-inspired YA fantasy, but it was just so unique in its storytelling and in its mythology. I ended up loving it so much. So I cannot wait to read this, and it's the last book in the series, so that'll be great. And then similarly, I picked up Ray Bearer by Jordan Ifueko, which is also the second in a duology. The first book was Ray Bearer. Did I say Ray Bearer or did I say Redemptor? I don't know, but this is Redemptor, the sequel to Ray Bearer, which I loved. I gave it 5 stars, so I am so excited to read the second book. And I mean, this cover, right? This cover is stunning. Even the back of it, I love it so much. Let me see. Ooh, and underneath the dust jacket looks like that. Very, very pretty. But yes, this is one, I think I mentioned this in my end of the year TBR, that I wanted to read this as well before the end of the year. We'll see if it happens. And then I picked up Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the third and final book in the David Bond trilogy, and I'm like so scared to read this. So scared, because I'm so worried about what will happen to my favorite characters. I love these characters so much. I love this world so much. I loved the first book so much, the second book even more. And I just have a feeling, because I cried in the second book, I have a feeling that S.A. Chakraborty is going to break my heart in this third book. It's also the biggest book in the series so far, and I'm scared. But I will be reading it soon, hopefully loving it. That's what it looks like naked. But yeah, it's here, and it's kind of bittersweet, because like I want to read it because I want to know what happens, but at the same time I don't want it to be over. I also picked up The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. This is the sequel to A Deadly Education, which is a book that a lot of people absolutely hated, but I absolutely loved. I fell in love with that book the moment I read it. It doesn't even make sense, but I had a great time with it, and I'm really excited to read the sequel. I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet. Like, I thought that as soon as I got this in my hands, I wouldn't be able to resist reading it. But here we are. I haven't read it. I have been feeling a little bit slumpy lately, so that might be why. But very excited to continue on. This is a dark YA fantasy. It's marketed and sold as adult, but it's definitely YA. Trust me, it's YA. Our main character goes to the Scholomance, which is this school, this magical school, and she is destined to become this dark, evil sorceress, and every day she has to kind of fight against that. The Scholomance is an incredibly dangerous school where you either survive, you either graduate or you die. Like, survival is everything. There's monsters lurking at every corner, people out to get you. It's so much fun, and I just cannot wait to read the second book. I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet, but very happy to have it. Next I have Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I have read a few things by her now, so I'm really excited to read everything by her. And this is a reprint of an older book by her, and it is, I don't know what it's about, to be honest. Welcome to Mexico City, an oasis in a sea of vampires. That's right, this has vampires. I think it has werewolves as well. I think it has a bunch of different supernatural creatures, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really know the plot though, but I don't want to know too much about it because I want to go in kind of blind and just experience it. I feel like that's the best thing to do with Silvia Moreno Garcia. I love her writing though, absolutely stunning. Her character work is amazing, so I'm so excited to give this one a read. This is one I picked up in October for my birthday. really wanted to read it in October as well, but I just kind of ran out of time. But I will be getting to it soon. I'm not gonna wait until next October to read it. The only problem is that, I don't know if you can see this, but the font in here is so tiny, just tiny, tiny, tiny. And I might need to get the audiobook to help me out with this, because like, that is really gonna be an eye strain. Then I picked up a Spindle Splintered by Alexi Harrow. Alexi Harrow wrote the 10,000 Doors of January, Once and Future Witches. I loved 10,000 Doors of January so much. I still need to read Once and Future Witches, but this is her newest. It is a very tiny little novella, and it's kind of a Sleeping Beauty retelling, but not really a retelling. It's kind of like Sleeping Beauty inspired. There's illustrations throughout surrounding the page, or some of them are just like full page illustrations, stuff like that. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I cannot wait to read this. I think it's gonna be a really fun, quick read. Second to last book, I have Horseman by Christina Henry. I picked this up in October as well. I've definitely had horror on the brain. But this is a like retelling or reimagining of Sleepy Hollow. I've never read anything by Christina Henry, but I've heard a lot of great things about her as an author. So I've definitely been wanting to read more, or not more, but something from her. And I saw this at Barnes & Noble and I just picked it up because I'm like, that sounds pretty good. And I really wanted to read it in October, but I didn't get to it. I'm excited to see what I think of this author, because if I love this, she's got a lot of books in her backlist, I believe, that I could potentially pick up. And then finally, the last book on this book haul is Dead Dead Girls by Nekesa Afia, or Afia. I'm not sure how you say that. But this is what I think is like a cozy mystery. It takes place in Harlem in the 1920s, 1926 Harlem. I love anything set in Harlem in the 20s, or in New York in general, in the 20s. I love the 1920s. I don't know why. I'm not a big historical fiction reader, but when it comes to the 1920s, I'm sold. All you have to tell me is that it's set in the 20s and I'll buy it. So this is a mystery. We're following a young girl, a young black woman, in a time where young black women are ending up dead. And because of some altercation, like with the police, she ends up given an ultimatum. She can either help solve the case or wind up in a jail cell. So we've got our typical amateur sleuth type cozy mystery is what I'm thinking it's gonna be, although I definitely think that this will be a lot darker and deal with a lot more darker topics, more serious topics. So I'm very excited about this. I've heard really good things about it, and this was actually one of my most anticipated reads of whenever it came out. Was it this year or was it last year? Oh, okay, 2021. So it did come out this year. I don't remember when, but it was an anticipated release for me and I never got around to picking it up or reading it. So I finally have it now. Hopefully I will read it soon. But I just want to read all the things all the time, and like, that's not possible. And it makes me sad. And I get overwhelmed because I have so many books on my TBR and I just get overwhelmed trying to think of what to read next. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, those are all the books that I've picked up in the months of October and November. Do let me know down in the comments if you have any thoughts, any opinions on any of the books that I mentioned today. Let me know if you've read any of them, what you thought, which ones you think that I need to get to ASAP. You guys know I love hearing from you. But that's gonna be it from me today. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you look forward to more content from me in the month of December. I am planning to post more than I usually do. I'm planning to do 3 videos a week, and I'm also going to be vlogging for the entire month of December. I'm not gonna do daily vlogs because that's crazy, but I will be doing weekly vlogs throughout the entire month, so you can look forward to that. And yeah, I think that's all I needed to say. So once again, talk to me in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys. Sean, I need to take a thumbnail with some books. I was gonna ask you to pile them on top of me, but I think I got it. That's enough, right? I can't hold anymore. Oh, I need to put them on this side because I'm blocking the light. No, stop. Stop, please stop. Please.